well, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a sort of overview of most of season one of Smallville. It's not going to be specifics of the season because, by all means, please go and watch it again. It's hilarious. But it's going to be a brief overview. Comment below if there's other TV shows that you think I should watch, movies, what have you, and then we'll go from there. I'll put together a series, usually probably not spoilery, because if people will go and watch it, that'll be great, but I'll give you my thoughts on it. So comment below with any ideas that you have of TV shows, movies that you think that I should watch, give my opinions on. Welcome back. This is going to be another sort of ranty review. It's going to be an overview. I think I'm just going to do the intro, like season one, for Lois and Clark. Now, I'm doing the original Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher version of Lois and Clark. I know there's a newer one. Actually, don't remember the exact. I think it's like the New Adventures or something like that. That came out on HBO, but HBO Max just put the Adventures of Lois and Clark up as a series that you can watch and you can stream. And who doesn't love binge watching shows from your childhood, right? It's interesting. I remember the show differently than it actually takes place. Like I remember the show being a little bit more, I guess, akin to like Smallville. Like I remember there being more Superman than there actually was. And I mean, they just put it back up, so I'm at season one. I think I'm nearing the end of season one. But I remember it being a lot more. And I guess it's just memory, right? Like I remember seeing more special effects. I remember seeing more of Superman doing super things. Like obviously there's the cutscenes of him flying and him using his heat vision and X-ray vision a few times, and then like his like the cold breath or his super breath to blow stuff away and what have you. But I remember it being a lot more superhero stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's very your mind playing tricks on you. Like I remember seeing more of the flying, the fighting, and I'll be honest, I'll keep watching. It's probably more in the later seasons. But I don't remember this show having this much of a dramedy, right, sort of aspect. Like it's the blossoming story between Lois and Clark of their love and their interactions with each other, and her almost finding out most episodes that he's Superman. The cast is interesting. I know that it changes from season one, maybe it's season two or season three. They cast it. Like I know Jimmy Olsen changes. I know the initial gossip column reporter Cat changes, and then they keep obviously Lois, Clark, Perry, and then the parents. I think those are the only. Oh, and Lex Luthor. They keep all those the same, but the rest of the characters change. Like the supporting characters change. I'm not particularly sure what that decision was about. I'll probably do more to look into it, being that I'm going to start rewatching the show anyway. But I remember the show having more Superman. I remember the cast being the same people throughout the entire show. Like I think in my head, even though they recast the Jimmy Olsen character, even though certain things kind of tweaked, when my mind goes back to specifics about the show, I can only remember that initial ensemble cast, right? Like that's what's stuck in my head. When I think Jimmy Olsen, I think the person that was playing Jimmy Olsen from the first season. Okay. It's also the graphics. It's similar to games that I played on PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, the Sega Genesis, just lots of consoles that I play. On the Wii, the original Wii, they're not great. I mean, I know for the time they were fine. Right? Like, they were fine. You can't really fault a show. You can't fault a show in the past when you have the technology of the present for not being great in the past. Right? They do the best with what they have available to them. I remember it looking so different. It's the same way that I remember Final Fantasy VII being way better graphically than the last time that I played it. Even like the last videos that I saw of Final Fantasy VII, I remember being way better than what the graphics actually are. They're not the worst graphics ever. I mean, they're not great, but you can definitely tell it dates itself very quickly once you're watching it. I'll say the stories in the show are actually a lot better than I remember. I mean, there was a lot more, it relied a lot more on the character developments, you having to invest and know who the characters are. So you meet the Lois Lane. It's obviously the world famous journalist working at the Daily Planet. She's tenacious. She goes after a story. She's a brilliant detective, as it were. She's always able to get the story before anybody else. And, you know, then there's Superman that comes in on the side. And if she's in too much danger, he's available to, you know, kind of ease that tension of the situation of the story, so that she's not ever, say, really in danger. There are a few times that it seems like she's actually in danger. I mean, you know, she's not gonna like die or anything. She's one of the main characters, but there are some moments where you're like, oh wow, she got herself into it this time, and then you're just like, okay, well, how are they gonna reintroduce Superman to this so that he is able to MacGuffin his way into, like, oh, hey, surprise, Superman's able. They actually mentioned in an episode, it's actually an episode with Penn from Penn and Teller, where there's magicians and Superman is doing something. I think he's like at a school. I think it's the episode with Penn and Teller. I think it is. And Superman's somewhere. No, sorry, it's not the one with Penn and Teller. It's an episode where Superman is at a school. He's doing show and tell, and Lois is somewhere, and she says, "Hey, you know, like, where's Superman when you need him?" kind of thing. And he's at school talking to kids, and the kids are like, "Hey, how do you know when there's stuff happening that is bad?" And he's like, "Oh, well, it's kind of like a sense or a feeling that I get, and especially if people who are close to me." And it happens right after the scene where she's like, "Oh no, where's Superman?" I want to say it's either the Penn and Teller episode. These, again, it's all blending together now. I want to say it's either the Penn and Teller episode, the episode with Penn from Penn and Teller, or it might have been the episode right around there where Lois found the guy who was able to change his face because he was really good at makeup, and she was really paranoid about like who he was, because she had seen a murder that he committed, and he kept changing his face and sort of popping up, and she never knew who it was, and that kind of thing. Okay, that's kind of spoiler for that episode. I'm trying not to get too heavy into the specifics of every single episode, just because if you want to watch it again, it's an old show. Are you going to watch it again? Who knows? It's fun to put on in the background because it's actually a good show. The writing was good, the acting was good, and I say good in the sense that it's engaging enough that if you sat down and watched it from beginning to end, you'd enjoy it, like a lot of shows. And I'm, any superhero themed kind of show, I'm open to watch. There are a few that I need to either finish or start that have come out, because I know they have, I want to say there's one called Titans. There's a few others that I want to get into, just because there's a lot of comic book stuff, and why not watch comic books come to life, a live action adaptation like the Suicide Squad and Justice League movies and what have you. It's way different than what I remember it being, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering aspects of Smallville and transplanting them onto Lois and Clark, which is possible. I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. But I remember the show being different. And each season, I'll do a reaction to, oh yeah, that last time I was talking about it, it turns out, hey, look, the graphics got a little bit better, or they started leaning a little bit more into the Superman aspect of the show. And that's where you're remembering it. So you're kind of forgetting a little bit of season 1 and remembering the season 2 and season 3 and what have you. Because the episodes themselves are, I think, 40 minutes, maybe 45, something like that. They're fairly long episodes, which is good. I mean, it's a good way to spend a Saturday, Sunday, what have you. Or just after work. Just, watch 2 episodes, get reinvested in the show. It's great. But yeah, so this is going to be not a series. I guess it kind of, it's not, I'm not going to do every episode, but I will do like each season kind of a check-in, like, hey, this is what I remember from the show. Again, if you have ideas of shows, movies, music, comment down below. Let me know what you'd like to hear me kind of rambling about like I do. Otherwise, you'll hear me just randomly bring up Lois and Clark or the Wayans brothers, or I don't know. If they put up all that, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? What have you. I'll just start talking about whatever random thing I start watching again, because there's all sorts of shows from the 90s that if they were to put them back up, I'm sure I'd watch again. And then just start rambling about. So again, I'm going to do this a lot in all the videos until everyone starts commenting. Well, not everybody. At least, hey, if everyone's comment, everybody comment. But you start commenting and say which one. Otherwise, I'll just keep doing these things.